why do teachers have to be in the buildings if their students aren't in the buildings in person?
Yeah, so kind of like before, our goal is to expand the opportunities for students to return in additional phases. We also know it's less than ideal to have students switch teachers with such little time left in the year. We're working with principals. We shouldn't have to switch too many adults and children's schedules. That you may only have 3 children who signed up for hybrid.
Yeah.
And so you would be able to teach those 3 children in hybrid, but then also keep your students in remote.
Like, can you tell me the significance of the dates? Like on March 22nd, is there something that's supposed to be happening on March 22nd?
Got it. All right. So what I understand is that this is specifically around PK to 2 groupings.
Okay.
Right? And then central office employees. People can come in if they want beginning the 22nd, but we're not expecting everyone to be in until the 29th because that gives you a little bit of lead time.
And on the 29th, what happens?
The 29th is every PK to 2 teacher and staff member, supporting staff member, and central office employee needs to begin showing up to work as on the hybrid schedule, which aligns directly with the remote schedule we've been using all year.
Got it.
The exception to that, which I think then goes to your April 12th, is around those who received childcare accommodation. And I think this is one of the questions we're going to talk about. And I've got the specific DTLR language, so I don't screw that up. But that would be, okay, we provided a month runway for you to determine childcare if it's needed. That's why the April 12th date is granted for those folks rather than March 29th, because we'd be saying that would be 2 weeks, and the childcare accommodations being sunsetted.
And that's all. And April 12th is also the day where the students are coming back too.
Correct.
Okay, so just so I understand, so on March 22nd, teachers, PK2 and special needs and ELL teachers can begin to come back to the schools and get their classrooms situated.
Yep.
And on March 29th, every PK2 ELL staff, special needs staff, are to be coming back in their buildings.
Correct.
And on April 12th, the folks who had accommodations for childcare will be coming back, along with all the PK2 special needs ELL teachers and their students.
Correct. As you talked about the different groups, you also said ELL. Yeah. And I want to flag here that basically us working with our bilingual team and them actually sourcing the teachers identified that our intent to bring students in as being a population that we really think need to be in the building. Yeah. They discerned that this was actually not of great value for the students in grades 3 up because it would just disrupt things so much.
All right. So what happens with the folks who may teach 3rd through 12th on either of these days? Do either of these days have any significance for folks who are teaching 3rd grade through 12th grade?
Yep. What about these 3 through 12? So anybody who does not support a PK to 2 student, on April 12th, they'd be teaching their students as they've been teaching all year.
And special needs, yes.
And the specific special needs program. And this is very key. It is not all special needs programs. And the child study team would be very clear to state that. But high needs students where being in a school building, and they will actually be in the school building 4 days a week because their cohorts are small enough that we can socially distance and have them all in repeatedly. And we know that for many of these students, having that kind of repetition and consistency in their schedule is really valuable to them. So that's for that group. I'm pretty sure those folks will be deliberately targeted by the child study team to make sure that they are aware, like, remember, this is the child you support, they're going back in, this is your role in it. And so if you support those PK2 anyway in your role, if you teach just one 1st grade class as a special and the rest of yours are 3 through 8, you would be coming in for that 1st grade class.
So for someone who teaches a special of a grade, like a special for 1st grade and maybe a 4th,
Yep.
would in their period where they're having 4th grade special, would they be doing that remotely from the building, from the school building?
We will make sure they have a classroom with a smart board to teach out of, so that they're basically like they're teaching from home, but it's in the classroom, so they can go between.
Do you have any idea how many students we're expecting to return based off of surveys? How many expecting? I guess sort of district wide.
Yep. Yeah. So we got out of all district PK to 2 in these special ed specific programs, we got about 30% who are looking to return. We probably expect pretty quickly after we get back in the building and feel things out, we will likely go through a second phase and find a way to bring in more families.
So just last 2 questions real quick. How are the district handling medical or / childcare accommodations at this point? Okay.
So if you submitted a childcare request in January, February,
yes,
you got the thank you for submitting your information auto response. Your request is granted until April 12th.
Okay, until April 12th.
Until April 12th. So now that we're ending childcare accommodation, the ending is the same for everybody. No one has a childcare accommodation as of April 12th. And DTLR will not be making any exceptions on a case-by-case basis. They want to make sure it's uniform across, right? However, under state law, staff may apply for unpaid leave of absence per the expanded guidelines of the New Jersey Family Leave Act. If staff would like to learn more about the unpaid leave, they can definitely sign up for a phone conversation with DTLR, and I'll try to make sure that I can send that contact point out to you so that folks can do this. Basically, leave is an option if you have no other option that is potentially available to you, right? So I'm going to switch now and pivot to medical accommodations. So again, all medical accommodations treated equally, even in extreme cases, right? The standard for granting COVID-19 medical accommodation was the same for everybody. This is going back to August, right? Submit documentation demonstrating that you're at an increased risk of severe illness due to the factors identified by the CDC. Going forward, DTLR is not reviewing any additional COVID-19 related medical accommodation requests. So if you sent something in at the end of February, it's not being reviewed because you missed that January, February window.
Okay.
Right? DTLR, though, however, will always review accommodation requests in alignment with the American Disability Act. DTLR will always review requests for medical related leaves. And apply for, like FMLA, FLA, ADA guidelines to those requests. So if you submitted, pause, right? They will always support people with those processes. If someone submitted a medical accommodation request in January, February, you received a denial or approval by this past Monday night.
Okay.
So what would that be? Monday the 15th is my understanding. Now that we're ending the medical accommodation, the ending for this COVID medical accommodation, the ending is the same for everybody, right? No one will have an accommodation beyond May 3rd.
May 3rd.
DTLR is not making any exceptions, doing case-by-case basis. However, they remain happy to support the traditional FMLA, FLA, ADA processes. So if you are at a point that you're like, I've been fully vaccinated, I am ready to return to my babies in person, I want to. On our records, we just see that Dr. Benson is till May 3rd. Reach out to your school leader to communicate that update, right? Beyond that, they don't really know what's going on. So it's not necessary for you to divulge anything to your school leader, your peers, or others that you have a medical accommodation. It's a private item. But if you want to return before May 3rd, please reach out to your school leader and say, hey, I'm wanting to come back sooner. Can we just verify that's okay, or what the date would be that I'd come back?
Where can the staff access frequently asked questions, like all the things that we discussed? Where can they access it, like in writing?
Yep. All right. So as we have all that data together, we're now able to release updates. So this evening, in the weekly School Leader Digest, we are formally releasing the public hybrid plan, the sample hybrid schedule, the staff resource document. This is, if folks remember from like remote learning, we had kind of our own like 8-page staff resource document. I think this one's like 12 to 15, just because we're going through so much of the safety mitigations. And then the hybrid team, we actually spent a couple weeks just writing down FAQs. We had about 120 FAQs in the end. And there's, I think, at least 50 that are like common staff questions. We've also got that going so that people can review that and look through it. Now, that's all going to School Leader Digest. We ask school leaders to share out, right? But I know that once I send that out to school leaders this evening, I'm going to send you, Dr. Benson, the same exact thing, so that you can then share with your members. As we've talked about, the more communication, the better. I have no doubt that school leaders are going to get this out, but the sooner that everybody can get their eyes on it and start reading it, it'll at least allay people's questions. And I'm 85% confident that we've missed something, or we've written two things that are contradictory to each other, right? Please take it with the intent of us trying to get students back and staff back in our overall community as safe as possible. So if you see something, flag it up, whether it's through you, email me directly, say this doesn't make sense. Can you explain, right? We're all in this together. And I honestly cannot thank you and like all of your members, whether it's the teacher in the classroom or it's the officer who's been on duty since we closed last March, right? For everything everyone's done in the past year. I just want to send the appreciation that we have for everyone who's contributed to the plan, but everyone who's contributed to somehow making this year possible, because it's been bananas. And know that the plan's not perfect. And please flag when you have questions so that we can address, because we want to keep this growing. And there's I think Dr. Benson, I remember maybe talking to you about it this past fall. Like, we may be in this situation to start next school year. So we've got to figure out how to make this work with our PK2 babies who don't have to transition everywhere, and then figure out our mitigation strategies from there.
Like I know it means a lot to people to hear hear these things coming from you. So, and that way, hopefully that sort of reassures folks and reminds them actually how much work the district, along with our members, have done to try and ensure the safest, open and possible. So, I really appreciate it. And, so thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for your partnership with it. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, take care and have a good day. Hopefully members watch and are more informed after watching than what they were before they click start.